Alright, so now we're in mathematics still, but instead of straight line, we are now in quadratics. So quadratics are, your type of equation where you have ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, or some other d value. So this is what we're going to be getting into, and if we notice, what I'm going to do now is go to our FE handbook. We notice the quadratic equation section is very limited. It only has the equation form and the roots and what the quadratic equation is. You next have your quadratic surface. So of course this is going to be the same, I guess, quadratic formula. Not exactly, but now you have your sphere equations, and just like I said in the previous video, your distance between 2 points with 3-dimensional. So in this problem, we are going to be solving this equation for x two different ways, quadratic formula and factoring. I'm going to go through both of the different ways because in your FE exam, none of them are free response. It's all multiple choice. Sorry about that. What we notice is in the FE exam, you have only multiple choice. So you have a choice of, doing it whatever way you want, whichever way is the quickest way. So if you know, and you're looking at this right away and you notice, oh, you can do factoring, that's really easy, then do factoring. But if you don't see it right away, then do quadratic formula, whichever way you choose. So let's start with quadratic formula. Quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. Again, this is found in the FE handbook. B is going to be your negative 5. So you have negative minus 5 plus or minus the square root of negative 5 squared minus 4 times 2, because that's your a value, and this is c, 4ac, divided by 2 times 2. So plugging this into your calculator here, we can find that it becomes 5 plus square root of over 2 times 2. This is going to get you 1.5 on the positive side, and then whenever you do minus, you get 1. So x can be either 1.5 or 1. These are the roots for your quadratic equation. Now, what about factoring? Well, factoring is a little different. You can't outright factor this one. I mean, I guess you could. You have 6 and negative 5, so you have what, negative 2 and negative 3. So you could do this. But how do you end up, solving it? The way I do this, when you have an a value that is not 1, I always factor by, you're tearing, quote unquote, apart your equation. The way I teach most of my students here is I say 2x squared plus x plus x plus 3. So you have two unknowns here with x that you're going to have to get this negative 5, right? They have to add up to negative 5 and of course multiply to 6. And we already know this is negative 2 and negative 3. So what we can do is we can put negative 2 here, negative 3 here. You could flip them however way you want. But I choose that they're the same number because it's easier to see. Whenever we factor this, we have 2x squared minus 2x minus 3x plus 3. What can we factor out? Well, we can factor out a 2x from this first set. What does that become? That becomes x minus 1. Then factor out a minus 3 from the other one. That also becomes x minus 1, sorry. Okay, and then this 2x and the minus 3 combine. 2x minus 3 becomes 1, and x minus 1 becomes the other. So now you have your equation. This is all set equal to 0. You have x is equal to 3 over 2, and x is equal to 1, just like we had over here. It's the same equation, or same answer here. If you are unsure of how to, factor, because a lot of the times when you're under pressure, factoring can be kind of difficult, I will say. When you're seeing this new equation and you have no clue what to do, you just kind of blank. That's totally fine. Just plug it into this equation, plug it into the quadratic formula, and you get the answer. No harm, no foul. I mean, you do it however way is the quickest for you. This is how you would do either way solving quadratic formula.